You're listening to the New York Said Podcast.
Fear not, my friends. This will be my greatest performance.
Give it to me.
Here we go. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
My bro.
My brother, what is going on?
Oh.
What's up, man?
What's happening, bro?
Tag team back again.
Bang, bang. Pull out the guns.
Come on, man. It's
No, actually,
2022.
don't pull out the guns. Don't pull out the guns.
Don't pull out the guns. Not.
Don't pull out the guns. That's too much. That's
That's a
too
lot.
much of that.
It's already too much of that. You know what I'm saying?
Too much. Fuck.
Brother Juan, how you doing, man?
Yo, man, I cannot complain, bro.
I
Life
really
has been
want to
good.
say thank you for showing up. Like, what are we, like 5 years in a row at this point with the year-end wrap-up?
Man, just you saying that out loud is pretty dope.
It is, man. And I remember the day I was like, who better? And then to go beyond that, to have Sunday Cigar, and like we've just been growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, man, it's been a good ride, bro. I have to say, it's been a great ride.
Cannot disagree. So as you know, I am recording, and I'm probably not gonna do much editing. These episodes, I just let it go. You know what I mean?
Oof, no script.
So where you at with it today? Like, let's just start it off like what's your year been like?
Man, this has been one of my favorite years of all time. For sure, for sure. I got to do a lot of things that I wanted to do for a while. One of those things was to, take my wife's family to Dominican Republic and like have them really see, how we live out there and stay with my parents and, for kind of the two families who just kind of become one in a sense. And it was a beautiful journey to see, both parties kind of meld. It was my wife's aunt and uncle, Susie's aunt and uncle, and then her parents that joined us on this trip. So it was everything, bro. It was like early morning trips to the beach. You know what I'm saying? Getting, my mom to cook on their just like, fire, firewood, literally taking it off the trees and just chopping it up and just creating, a stew and creating, a mixed rice bowl of like a gumbo of like just chicken and sausage and all this stuff and just doing it by the river while everybody's just bathing. It was a great trip, man. So she, her side of the family got to understand a lot more of who I am. And I think that was like the biggest thing I needed to like happen in
lemon peels and lime
in this
peel.
world. Like I just needed her
Lemon
family to
and
understand,
just
culturally where we come from, because there's not a lot of Dominicans in California and Los Angeles. So these people don't really like. They see the culture. They've gone out to the resorts. They stayed in Punta Cana and stuff, but they haven't really understood. They haven't really gotten the full Monty of what it means to live a Dominican life. So it was great to just kind of give them that, and it was during Susie's birthday, so it was great, man. It was great, and then everything from celebrating a year anniversary of being wed to that happening afterwards, and then just being in a place of you know finding peace within just finding a rhythm at home, you know, having touch base with my parents, you know what I mean? Like all these things that are happening outside of our world is so chaotic that just the normality of having a regular type of year has been so rewarding in itself.
Right.
So I don't have any other complaints, bro. I don't have any complaints. It's just been a good year of just kind of like things that I wanted to do for a while. I was able to accomplish, and that within itself, it's a success for me. So that's why I'm so content with everything, man. Susie's, you know, she's been good, and her family's amazing, and then my family's been in a real peaceful state, and I knock on wood every day.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's stuff like that where I'm beginning to realize just the importance of the harmony of the day. And that harmony can look like the family's getting along, cousins, everybody's healthy. Everything is, I'm not saying everything is all good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, there's a certain harmony and a rhythm to the day that when you go, okay, I got my health, I'm working, I'm being productive, I'm rocking with people who really care about me and love me. I just find myself really just biting down on gratitude. Like,
yes,
doesn't take much these days.
Yeah, man, and to your point, what I was going to add on to it is that it creates a force field, man. And not to say that I haven't taken any losses, because I have. I've taken, quite a bit, but the losses, you kind of mitigate through, um, you know, the things that you can control. So there are going to be some things that are, you get some tragic news, and you try your hardest to be as strong as possible for the immediate, whoever it is, whether it's a spouse or older sibling, or younger sibling, or whatever it is, like to act and to be present and to be available in those moments, I think is extremely important. So I think that part is also why I've also found peace, is that I've been present when I'm required to, without being asked of it.
Mm.
And I think that even in the bad times, I am content with, you know, one, coming to peace with, any negative news that I've encountered, or two, to be able to, be strong enough for someone who is immediately going through it. Because sometimes there's a level of separation. So that sort of thing is what I hang my hat on. I think at the end of the day, especially again when you look outside your door and things are really really chaotic and dangerous. So
Yo, it's
you know,
nuts outside right now. Even in the
man
city,
alive.
like, I grew up I was born in '78. Like, I ain't afraid to show my age. So it's like, growing up in the '80s and then like really growing up in the '90s, but just seeing, like, living in New York, there's always that, like, that feeling of danger is lurking. No matter what you're
Yes.
doing, you're still gonna have a good time. I'm not walking around here paranoid, scared, and fear. Like, that'll get you
No,
hurt.
just
But
a heightened sense of awareness.
yeah, and so, like, these days, there's a lot of that where I have to be like ultra on point. I
Hyper
really have
awareness.
to like watch what is happening, and a lot of it has to do with people just clearly in some like crazy zombie state of violence, or some mental state that I just can't wrap my brain around, or what have you. And so, like, I find myself, I still have a blast in the city. I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of it is like I have to navigate, and I find myself in places, and I'm out. Like, I did what I came to do, and I'm ghost. Like, I'm
Correct.
not really like dormant or static in any one place for too long. You know what I mean? And just like the energy
100%.
on the train, like I got into conflicts where, like, it was almost like I had, because of the people that I was encountering. Let's just say this one incident this year where this person was way younger than me, but he was clearly like in that violent haze, and he's telling me that I look like the op, and I'm like, how? Like, how do I look like your op? Like, I'm not even afraid, or like, cause I'm more like concerned. Like, how do I look like I got a beard full of uh gray hairs? I look like I just came off of work, for working at Aldo or some shit. Like, I'm literally just chilling. Like, I don't there's no kind of like violent frowning, and like, as you're even talking to me, I'm talking to you like, I don't think I'm what you're looking for. Like, if you're even looking
Right.
for to meet you with aggression. Like, I met this guy with such a calmness of, like, at one point I asked him in the middle of the conflict that he had, there was nothing there. So I was like, how do you want this to play out? It was almost like watching somebody like rob a bank and like give me the gun. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, but I had to play it cool because like this guy was like 20 something years old, and I'm gonna be 45 next year. So it's like, if there was a real conflict, I'm sure this guy would wash me. I don't think he would like beat me the fuck up or some like crazy. I'm just a victim. Like, it might be a nice challenge for a couple of minutes, but like this guy was like slim, like looked like he could have boxed Golden Gloves, but he had the Pooh Shiesty mask on and the crazy eyes, but none of that intimidated me. I was just more concerned, like,
Right.
yo, I think you're like out of bounds. Like,
Right.
if you want to violate me or victimize me, I guess then that's gonna happen. But like, I'm not your op. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even sound nuts saying I'm not your op. Like, I sound like a herb right now. Like, I am not your op. I'm your accountant, sir. No. You know, like, what the fuck? Like, so it was just like a weird encounter. But the scariness, he wasn't scary. It was like, yo, what is up with you? Like, what is up with people? Like, why are you in this like drill trance? You know what I mean? Like, I was concerned, like, yo, I'm concerned for you. Like, I'm not intimidated or scared. I'm just like, what happened? You know, like, there's nothing here, and you're like trying to make it a thing. And then he just got frustrated and left. And he got off at the train or whatever. I'm really abridging this story, but if it would have went left, I could have got hurt really bad or even killed. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the energy of the city where you kind of like just step in shit. You know, don't even pardon my French, because that's what it is. Like, you accidentally, like, I'll tell another quick story. I was on a train, and out of the blue, like, this woman was sitting down, another person was standing up, and like, out of the blue, this older woman just started like whooping on this younger girl. Like, just, it was like the most violent thing. And then I'm thinking that they knew each other. I'm like, wow, like, I didn't know what I was like, what are they fighting about? Like, I didn't know what they would. Now, the younger girl got the best of the older woman, and the older woman got off the train. But the younger girl was like, why didn't y'all help me? Like, and she's like, what? I'm just sitting here like, oh shit.
I don't mean laugh. And
then the lady, when the train went by, the older lady had this like really sick look in her eye, like a zombie just bit somebody's neck, and I'm like, yo. But I thought it was like a bickering of like, I thought it was something different. I didn't know what it was, but it's like, what was I gonna do? Like, I'm not gonna jump into a fight of two strangers fighting, and I mean, like, they was going at it, and so you're like with this conundrum of like, you know, what do you do? You know, and then this person is clearly a victim, even though she whipped this lady's ass. She did not leave her house to go whipping some ass. She was literally going wherever she was going. And it was just like this, but it was crazy.
To have to defend yourself, you know, for some random act, is definitely the low part of the totem pole of living and being human, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think to touch on your point, something that I've been discussing with my boys from New York, obviously, is I think that we have underestimated how much people were affected by being isolated in their homes.
That's a fact.
I'll be quite honest, and this is just my opinion, and I normally don't state things like this, but I'm going to say that a lot of people don't like being at home. And to have to be forced to be at home for any reasons, whether it's, you know, to avoid COVID or whatever it is, I think that for a lot of people, if it wasn't part of their routine, it triggered a lot of things that might lead to, you know, poor mental health in the sense of how people function. And you're going to see it in a city where things are congested because people escape their homes during the day, no matter what it is. You know, you could get stuck for a snowstorm, right? But like the idea of being stuck in the wintertime during a snowstorm is that you're prepared. If you're talking about being stuck there in the spring, the summertime, whatever it is, like the idea is always, you know, it's always a funny idea, right? So all these rules are now implemented. You have to, you know, I just feel like humans lose themselves because of lack of direction, lack of routine, and you're in a congested city where everyone's used to just getting out, and you didn't, people didn't have that luxury. And I just feel like people, the sanity that people maintain throughout living in this chaotic state of just, fast city, fast living, close neighbor living that we live is just, it just spends people out, man. And I just feel like people just kind of, either resulted to taking, mind altering, drugs, or have just kind of gone without, any therapy or any
That yeah,
watch
I
or
think is
any,
that.
any,
Yeah. I mean, it could be a
you know
number
what I
of
mean?
different things, but it's clearly heightened as you make your way through the city, and you just have to navigate it and be on point. And again, like, not being paranoid, like, I'm still gonna have my experiences. Like, I was in the city quite a bit this year, and I had an excellent year as well. You know what I mean? Like, I got a lot done. Um, as I was preparing with this episode, I was like, oh, let me see. Like, I was like, yo, Juan, pick out your best episodes. And I'm looking, I'm like, looks like I only did like one episode a month. Like, as opposed to like the beginning of this show, I was doing like 52 a year.
Right.
Like, I was really like focused on dropping out. I mean, excuse me, not dropping out, just dropping something every Tuesday. Like, I would break my neck. I mean, literally hurt myself, be up to all hours of the night trying to make sure that I made that deadline. And it was cool. And there's a lot of great episodes, but it's like nowadays, it's like I'm dropping them when I feel like it, if I'm just going to be very candid. But at the same time, it's like I'm still making moves, and I think the frequency is gonna go up next year, just because of the Stay Sane episode.
Heard
Um,
you.
the technology that allowed me to create that episode really opened up the idea of like what a conversation can be and what an interview can look like. Um, I feel like interviews and conversations are on two ends of a spectrum. So like right now, you and I are having a conversation, and I'm low key interviewing you, but I'm not going to act like I'm in full control, but because you and I have a rapport of several years, we can easily have a conversation, and I can still get the information that I need out of you, and it'll sound like a conversation, and it won't sound so much like an interview, as opposed to like if I was going to talk to a director who has like the episode I can't remember the title, but we did the thing about the Academy Awards. That was a straight up interview,
Oh yeah.
but it was conversational moments, but like I clearly had a purpose and a reason of why I was talking to this person. And so with these microphones, if I was to go meet that guy and redo that episode, not that I'm saying anything was wrong with the first one, which was great. It's going to be a whole different feel because I'm literally just putting a mic on you, and now I'm going to talk to you like I talk to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So like, we're gonna hit the points, but we're gonna talk. Like, we're gonna find
Yeah,
out.
correct.
So like, if you take somebody like Vicky Toback, which I really
Great
enjoyed that
episode.
episode,
That was a great episode.
and then like I've talked to Vicky 2 times. So one was about Contact High, and one was about Ice Cold. Now
Right.
imagine, and I got her first episode is definitely her origin story episode, but imagine like I'm like,
Very
all
much
right,
so.
Vicky, let's go take a walk through Central Park. And now let's just
Right.
talk about let's see what comes up.
Yes, yes. I understand what you're saying.
What were your
Yeah,
thoughts
there's a lot,
on that same episode?
man. When you we were conversing, outside of this, you know, our conversation now, and it was tough because I was like, all right, I love everything, but I have to choose. Like I have to choose, like what like what are my favorites for real? Like no hesitation. And the Stay Sane was great because of that format. I felt like there was such like I could close my eyes and be there with you guys. And the aspect of the world interacting with you while you're having this conversation, um, I think offered a way for the conversation to go to different places and not leave the general, interview process. Like I was still getting to know, Stay Sane, um, but it was more so through such a like. I feel like there was an opening, and that opening had to do with the atmosphere you guys were in, right? So when you guys were moving, uh, when you guys were making the moves, it felt like I was right there with you guys,
That's what I
and that
wanted.
felt fresh. It felt like okay, when humans want interaction that has layers to it, right? Like that's why Seinfeld has the getting coffees, comedians getting coffee, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
idea of
yeah.
them being in a car and
Yes,
the car, being a topic of conversation. I think that it's a lubricant, but it's not why you're watching it. You're not
right.
watching it for the cars, right? You're watching it to see what ensues with these two comedians in a
Yeah, like
car.
what is Jim Carrey
So
gonna do in a diner?
right,
What is he gonna
correct,
do in his gallery? What like yeah.
right, correct. So I think that yes, if you were to expand on that idea, I am a member of the fan club. So in this case, I would say, yeah, that's a thumbs up. I think if I look around, yes, yeah, I'm a vote. Yeah, yeah, vote. Yes, yes. Two thumbs, five thumbs. I
But
have 7 votes here.
but the good thing about that, when you say it's refreshing, like I listen to podcasts and I don't really hear anything like that. Like everyone has
True.
everybody started to go to video, and they have the 3 cameras set up, and you watch it on YouTube, and I love it because I'm like I'm quick to watch. I just watched right before this call, I watched one with Wallow, from $1 Million
That
Worth of
was a game.
Game. It was an interview with him, and I think it was called something Point, Social Point, or something like that. I'm probably butchering it, but it was like one of the best interviews ever this year for me, where I was just like, wow, this guy
Wow.
is really like giving up the like he's actually telling you applicable information if you're someone who creates podcasts, YouTube videos, but he's literally not like, you know, putting himself in trouble, but he's giving you a lot of great information that could apply to life. And so I'm like, damn, okay. But with something like the walk and talk, I think I'm just gonna call it like a walk and talk, the walk and talk
Oof.
series. And so
Oof.
like I'm just gonna be walking
Stamp that.
yeah, I'm just gonna be walking and talking with people. And because there's no handheld mics and there's no cameras, it's just like in that episode, we start out outside. We're just walking outside in Columbus Circle, and he goes, "You want to get some coffee?" So now we're
Right.
in Starbucks, and nobody in Starbucks knows we're recording. Like,
Right.
so there's no production. So like, you're really there. Like, it's literally this cinema verite, like audio cinema verite documentary of a conversation, because
like that.
I did like 7 edits. There wasn't like let's just say, I'm not gonna call out anybody, but some of my guests, it's literally a 16-hour edit because I
Right.
care. Like, yo, you may this has been guests on my show that stutter, like have a straight up speech impediment, and I edited the entire thing out. You would never know. I just sat there and meticulously did these like surgical edits because I felt like this needed to happen. And a good amount
Right.
of it was heightened because these 2 mics are in front of them, and this guy who they've never met is like, "So tell me about the time." And you're like, "How the hell do you know that?" But okay, I want to talk to you. So there's a lot of that Nardward kind of like thing, is going on or whatever. So it's like, but with the walk and talk, it's like even if they have that, they're relaxed. So like more than likely, I wouldn't have to edit it. You get what I'm saying? Because we're out and about, like, so like if I was going to interview a street artist, I'm like, "Yo, you painting the wall? All right, bro, I'm gonna come to the wall and literally throw the microphone on you. And you're going to forget like 5 minutes later, you're going to forget that the microphone is there. You're just going to hear me talking to you. You really
Right,
going to be
right.
talking to me and not thinking that, okay, whatever I say is going out into the world and it could be used against me in a court of law or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because people have that, or if they're media trained, it's real easy for them to stay media trained when there's these 2 big gigantic mics in front of them, saying like, "Don't fuck this up," like make
No,
sure
yeah.
Not that I'm trying to get anybody out there, but like that episode where we go from walking outside to the coffee shop to deep into Central Park to some little estuary, and then it just keeps going. So it's like if we're in the estuary and you're hearing birds, I ain't hearing birds. But if you're like hearing the people talk or slight music, or even the guy at the counter, he was like, "Nah, we don't got that," and their interaction. So now you can just picture like the guy, because the guy didn't give a shit. Like Sane is a very tall. He can look kind of like overpowering, but the guy was like, "Yeah, we ain't got that." You know, he was like, "Can I do?" Like, probably not. like you can tell that this guy has dealt with a lot of customers, and he really wasn't interested in caring that we didn't have vanilla or whatever the thing was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's a nice break in the interview or the conversation.
No, understood. Yeah. And I think that's what's needed sometimes is our brains lock into these modes of answering and asking questions, and the world kind of just creates this natural breakup. It's a comma, you know what I'm saying, and it allows us to maybe regroup and be able to pivot in a conversation a lot more. The
Agree.
world is, there's so much interaction happening around us, right? Like we might laugh at the same thing, and that in itself creates the spark for where we go to next in our conversation. So, yeah, bro, I truly believe that if if that was an easy episode to record, then I would strongly suggest um, you carrying that forward for sure.
It's definitely probably going to be my preferred format because and if I lived back in the city, that would be amazing, where I could just literally just walk the streets and just find somebody and just hook up the thing and just start talking to them. And I might do that. Like I might leave on a Saturday and see if I can get like 4 or 5 episodes just doing that with
That'd be
strangers and people I know. And like imagine me finally getting a 50 Cent episode, but I'm like walking around Southside. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oof.
like you just the I don't see anybody doing it, and even if they tried, more power to you. But the secret ingredient is the New York said journey. Like it's something that we're working. We've worked toward to get that sound. So it's like I'm not competing with anybody. Thankfully, I'm just creating things that I'm trying to provide value. And
yes, you are.
I was talking to Steve, and I asked Steve about that episode. He was like, I was listening to like the why, like, because for the most part, New York said the guest is like, this guy's a photographer, or this guy's a writer, or this guy spray painted this, and like, so he was like, I could never figure out the why, and I was like, that was the purpose of it. Like, there is no why.
There is no why.
Because people like Sane exist, like you could talk to them for an hour and a half and still walk away not like, do I really know what this guy? I think I'm still in the same exact place before I started. I mean, I know more, but he's still like not trying to be mysterious. It's just like there are people who are kind of like Tommy, like, yo, what do you do?
Yeah.
And they don't have an answer for you. You know what I'm saying? They have a bunch of different.
It's everything.
Answers. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct.
And so that's just
that's part of life, right?
Yeah,
I think
and
that's who we encounter.
And that's a portrait of Sane. Like I feel like that's one of the most authentic episodes because it's a portrait of Sane. But that being said, I saw on your list you had the Savannah episode. Why did that make your list?
Man, that was like a roller coaster. That was like the best roller coaster as far as like traveling through the journey, right? Like I think that for the most part when people come on your show and they're your guest, there's an aspect of like Steve was curious about, right? Like who is this person? And Savannah's journey was such a human journey that it was like watching an episode. Like it was so vivid. It was so real, and it was so human. You know what I mean? Like it really tugged at all types of thought processes and emotions. I was like, dang, like she made it really easy to think about how normal things are when things out of the normal happen to you, right? And the resilience that you have and
That.
the extra strength that you have
Yep.
to just live a normal, what would be a normal life to you, right? Like you don't even know what that is. But when when you get someone that, truly understands how, you know, living really works, you know what I mean? Like we're all talking about living our lives, but to really be challenged in a lot of different ways
And to
throughout the
have to
course of your
like
life.
actually like fight for your life daily.
Right,
For
right.
those who may not have
Every
listened
day.
to the episode, it's a it's a very candid but anonymous interview with one of my childhood friends who was born with HIV. And so she tells us the entire from when she was a child to actually an adult. And shout out to Savannah because she texted me like a week ago and she just had a third kid. So
God bless her.
God bless. And she's married and family and happy and like so she's doing really well. But the to hear her story from when she was a kid and the technology and the advancements in medicine weren't there, and even
Right,
the understanding and the ignorance and
right.
a lot of
Yeah,
what hearing it from her story, her voice, without any like media training. This is somebody who's I had to basically kind of like every couple of years be like, Savannah, like you and I should really talk, and here are the reasons why. Um,
yeah,
it was an honor to be able to just have that conversation and somehow in certain parts like that took 200 episodes to make something so heavy so light at times to kind of like give the listener a break
yeah,
where I can kind of crack a few jokes.
yeah. No, it was such a breath of fresh air in the sense of, you know, there's again the connection of it could be me, you know what I mean? Like that's whether it's something that's where you find a commonality and it's how someone was raised or grew up, or you're seeing someone that speaks like you, or thinks like you, or shows signs of thinking like you, right? Like we're always different. I just feel like there's an aspect of wow, like you know you just we're just here rolling the dice. Like we don't control our destiny when we're born.
Right.
You know what I mean?
This
Like
life, this thing we
so
call life. Yeah.
yeah, so when someone is giving you the gravitas of what it really means to live a daily life, we could all be dismissive about things that don't happen to us, right? Like we could be some sympathetic and empathetic, but it's really easy to just close your eyes and just forget about it. But when someone's telling
Absolutely.
you about their everyday, it's completely different. And I think that aspect of real is needed. And her the way that she explained it wasn't of someone who is scorned or like bitter or has any like negative thing.
Absolutely.
Like it felt like a freeness. The information felt really light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
um Even when it got really deep, you know and who the vessel is that's explaining these things, there's a sense of like wow, like it's impressive. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It was just really impressive to just listen to someone, um, you know, articulate such, vivid thoughts and such obscure things that I've never even thought of, right? So I give you credit, bro, because that was such a smooth conversation. And at the end of it, that was just, it was my thinking was never the same after that. You know what I mean? Like the things that
That's
you
what.
think about
Wow.
is really it becomes a lot more emotionally layered when you listen to someone speak their truth that way.
And and I kind of like one of my like persuasive. I was like, don't you tell your story? And she was like, yeah, I go to schools. I'm like, that's all I'm looking for.
Right. Yeah. That's the
You know,
truth,
because
man.
sometimes people who clearly need to like, let's have a conversation. And even when I spoke to Sane yesterday, and I was like, what was the response? Like, he was like, it was good. He said, but for me, it was therapeutic. And low key for me, it was very therapeutic because it's like in that episode, especially if you're gonna walk and talk, I also have to share some things that I feel like, oh man, should I have said that? But it's just
Right.
like
Right.
who, like, I have no boss, you know, like even if I had a boss, like why am I gonna shy away from my actual life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
There's a part of you, right? You know, the duality that you're living is that you're a real person. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So even behind, the selflessness of allowing your guest to kind of guide the episode and your knowledge of what you know to kind of be the roadmap, I think that, you're still you, bro. You're still a person. You're still a person that, deserves to show that, you're present. And I think that, that might mean anecdotal information sometimes from your perspective, man. And that's not harmful. I don't think it harms anything that you do.
And I think one of my other favorite episodes was I have two more, and then we can move on to the other section.
Listen, bro, they were all my favorites. I just had to choose between my children, and I
Yeah,
made my choices.
and I like how you said my children.
Listen, bro. Still my favorite podcast, bro. Come on, stop playing with me.
Yeah, that's why like next year I gotta bring more to the table. But this year because there was a lot happening like off the mic and a lot of things that needed to be restructured, and I did a lot of soul searching. And not so much like out and about, like, oh, I gotta go here and I gotta go to Bali to eat some rice and and no, I'm not throwing shit at nobody. The entire state of Instagram.
You not eat, sleep, and praying and shit. What is it?
Yeah, I'm not eating, sleeping, and praying. And that's just, it's crazy because I do eat and I do sleep every day and I do pray every day. So it's like
I think it's. I don't think that's the. I don't think that's the. I think that's. I have a word missing there.
Yeah,
there's something.
Live
there.
and live, love, laugh. Like I'm alive and I'm currently laughing. You know what I'm saying? But I really enjoyed the TTK episode because there was that the aspect of the documentary that he created, which I thought was like super dope, and for him to like include all these extremely dope Black creatives, a good amount of them I hadn't heard of, and a few of them, like Say Adams, who had been on the show and that kind of thing. Yeah. But it was good to see it as a visual, and then to talk to him about his road and what he's done, which was crazy.
I agree, bro. I think, for me, it was an educational episode because, I look to you to give me the nooks and crannies of the things that I either learned a little bit about and, you're putting me on, or, a person who is so influential and underappreciated, like I think that a lot of the people that you've had in the last 2 years have been, underspoken about, you know what I mean? Like they're not people that you see a lot of work on as far as giving them their flowers, you know what I mean? And being able to, present yourself in a way that you've done the research, you know what I mean? With the TDK episode, I felt like a student in a class where you were kind of like, so you were kind of like the proctor of the exam, and it was like this person was just giving you, like the master thesis. You know what I'm saying? And I was in the crowd. I was like, man, this is dope. That down. This person, I took notes, bro. I would rewind it every 30 seconds. All right, I gotta take down this name. I don't know about this person, right? So that part of it was so deep to me because it just tells me that, we come from such deep wells, and there's such juggernauts and giants in these worlds that know, have been there, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and are connected to. And, I'm always going to crave to, learn more about that. So like the fact that, the way that, he's inspiring the next, the younger people, even me. I mean, I was inspired and I was like, damn, I felt ashamed almost because I didn't know as much as I should have. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a bad shame. It was more so like I need to get my shit together. Like I thought I knew some stuff, and
Wow.
I really don't know. I'm just cracking the surface. So, it just I'll be 40 soon, and for me, it's just the aspect of just being new. You know what I'm saying? Life is still new, and I'm still learning. And that episode was like I went to I was taking a course before going to work, and I took a course, coming home from work, and at the end of it, I was smarter.
Wow. And the good thing about episodes like that is that because it's TTK, like he's mad cool, like just
Super cool.
just one of us. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
but the thing is, it's like when you tap into that well, because you tapped into that well, that means there's like you kind of like get access to other wells because all of a sudden you begin to have other conversations with people in that environment, and then it kind of like sets the stage for future episodes from that same caliber or that flavor of information and style and that type in that world. So that
Yeah, bro.
I love that. It's like I would say the best example would be like to throw like a rock in a pond or what have you, and those ripples. And so those ripples may lead to like future guests. I don't expect it, but it just happens where all of a sudden like you get different followers and you have different conversations with certain people, and you're like, damn, that is a result of the TTK episode, or other
bro.
things. So it's just, but it's like something over time I've learned to just like let it happen organically. I'm not as aggressive as I have been in the past, where I'm like, oh, I got to just jump on this. I'm like, okay, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and like that kind of thing.
Yeah, bro. I think that you are the stone, and what you're good at is you're good at skipping in the deep waters, right? And I don't mean that in a oh, he's just skipping around. I mean that in the sense of like you understand how to search the culture, the cornerstones of the culture rather.
Mm.
You understand? So, the fulfillment that that I hope that you feel at the end of, everything that you can accomplish is that, you know, the reasons why you were able to elevate, from one world to the next and to have access to these deep waters, right? Still waters run deep, right? You're the stone, so you're kind of creating the ripples, or the river taking you downstream because of the current is so strong. I think it's a matter of you being able to, come to the table, with a lot to, offer in the sense of what you know ahead of time.
Mm.
I know that there's times that you kind of like you spontaneously, interview someone who, it was just fast. It just happened fast, and you know. But I think that for everything that you've come to the table with, as far as again a TDK, Harris, um, you know, these are the people that I feel like deserve the time,
Mm-hmm.
deserve the listens,
Yeah.
deserve for me to press the replays and listen to again, and you know, it deserves it. You know what I mean? And that's the part where I feel like it's more than just listening. It's like, how can I take a little bit of this and apply it to my life, right? Like, what kind of legacy am I leaving behind when it comes to knowledge, right? Like, what am I doing for the future generation so that, they have something to stand on? And people like TDK are doing that in a real way.
Yep.
They're giving up the gems while they're still here. You know what I mean? And that to me is bigger than just, an episode. I think it's cultural.
Yeah.
And I hope that you're understanding the levels of fulfillment.
I feel like, especially now, I feel like, the revolution is information, because with that
Yeah,
information, you're limitless. And so
fact.
with that, like Sane hit me, and he didn't even ask. I was like, yo, because in that episode, I'm like, you should do this and you should do that. And so today I was
Right.
like, yo, here's the microphones that I was using that day. Here's the other thing. Like, here's the thing that you need, like whether you need it or not right now, if you get sparked 6 months from now, you now have the information, about how you can build whatever you can build. And I'm still like, I'm a phone call away if you have a question, and
Right.
then being able to stumble upon, say, like the Larry and Sonia Wright episode with the drumming in the subway. That was one of those things where I did have to be aggressive, where I was just like, I gotta get this. And then like
Yeah.
as I'm like, I'm in the subway pulling out the microphone, trying my best to like hurry up and push record, and then getting their blessing to publish it. Cause I was like, I would like to do an interview, but that didn't happen. But in my heart, similar to the, say, like, I think 5 years ago I did a episode with just drumming. I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer that the drums talk. So it was just like, whatever you need to know about, Larry and Sonia, like, you can get it from the drumming. And like, I swear to you, I still believe that I think 10-15 minute episode is just this masterpiece of drumming, because when I heard him when I was in elementary school, walking past the Twin Towers, cutting through to get to, walk even further downtown to get on the Staten Island ferry, I remember stopping and just like being mesmerized of this brother playing the buckets, And so to
Okay.
hear where he's come, almost 30 years, 40 years, I would say 30 something years later, that like what it's similar to what I heard, but it's just like there's a mastery involved. And to be able to capture that lightning in a bottle, because like what I published was the last set of his set, the last song in the set that he was doing. And that last song was like the grand finale of just like, here's what I'm capable of. And he just, and they went off, and they just gave me chills. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
this is why I do this, it's truly a give back. And earlier, I would say like maybe 3 weeks ago, I was invited to speak to some sixth graders at a high school in Queens about podcasting. And I mean, they're in the sixth grade, and they were asking me some of the most amazing questions about content and like how they should approach their shows and how was I inspired. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know. I'm not trying to, I don't remember being this like intelligent as a kid. Like the questions that they were asking me, I was like, I wish I would have thought to ask questions like that. Like I remember people coming to speak to classes in sixth grade, and I would just be like, just sitting there like, okay, not knowing what to say, didn't even know how to. But these kids was like, I'm doing an episode about Israel and Palestine, and I was like, in my mind, I was just like, you're doing what? Like you're tackling this story in the sixth grade, and you have 6 to 8 minutes. And she was like, I want to speak to this person. I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I was just like, well, she was like, I want to speak to people who don't know, and it's for the people who don't know. And she wanted to talk to like 10 people. I'm like, find 2 or 3, maybe 1, because that'll eat up your 8 minutes. Or if just one person eat up your 8 minutes, and like, I don't know how much editing you have to do or what have you, but like, if you do 1, then you can, get the first one out, get the second. You can have part 1, part 2, part 3, but don't, create this paralysis of analysis where you have so much information in a short period of time that you're unable to. One of the things one of my professors said when I was a kid, like he said, you outproduced your ability to direct, meaning that I just had so much going on that I couldn't focus on one thing. And so I was able to pass that information on to someone younger than me and say, okay, hopefully that, the response was great. But those things just kind of just happen. I got this email out of the blue. Like it was from a listener. Like, hey, I teach a class in Queens at this all girls high school, and I was just kind of like, in my mind, like, wow, hell yeah, I'm down to do this. And I had a crazy deadline that week, but I was just like, I got time to like, I can go for an hour. He was like, all I need is 30. I say, even better, you know? And we did that, and it was in and out, and it was just an extraordinary experience to just give me hope that like, and faith that like, okay, you just never know the positive impact you're making on anybody, whether the show inspired the teacher to open up the door for me to somehow in some way inspire one or two students, or maybe all, or who knows, at that class. But it all started with just this person listening to whatever episode that was like, you know, I need to reach out to this guy, and we did it.
Yeah,
you know,
I hope a lot more educators reach out to you. I hope a lot more people who, you know, want to learn about culture reach out to you. Because yeah, man, I think that again, to make cool topics cool isn't, you know, really a flex.
right?
When you're really like shedding a light on things that aren't, you know, the mainstream, and you're doing it in a way that, you know, is fun, right? Like these episodes aren't like, you know, I don't feel like I'm listening to, you know, Ben Stein interview people or Barbara Walters interview people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, no shade to them, but it's just I just feel like there's there's a human aspect to how people approach, you know, storytelling, you know, and what you do and how you curate it is a way of it not being um you know, boring. It's not mundane. It doesn't feel like you know, I don't know what to expect each episode, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
even now
something
when we're talking
that's
about the
definitely the
evolution,
culture. Yeah.
yeah, you know, so you know, even talking about the evolution of how you're gonna do things in the future, I'm just I'm grateful to be, you know, in the front row because you're really contributing to a lot of different cultural things, and you're representing, you know, again, where you come from, where we come from, you know, and you know the values that we hold true, bro. And that to me is, you know, it's the flag in the ground. You know what I'm saying? You're planting the flag
Thank you.
on the hill, and you know, not a lot of people are claiming it now, right? And I think that it takes time for people to want to indulge in the right information. I think that, you know, the same way that we look at documentaries today that have existed for 40 years or 50 years that we never watched because they were just not on the surface level of what we were looking for, is how we were going to find, you know, all these things that, you know, you're offering and you've been offering for the last 5 years. And that's why I get a kick out of it, man. Because again, I always tell you this: it's like having front row seats to the best fucking concert in town, and the fucking band is playing. Like there's 80,000 people here, and I'm the only one. And I'm not saying that because, and I'm not saying that because you don't have a lot of listeners, because you do have a lot of listeners. I'm just saying that because, man, like when I take off the headphones, or I get out of the car, there's like a man, Amon has another one under his belt. You know what I mean? It's never like, oh man, that episode. Okay. You know, that I didn't learn anything. I never leave that. And I can't say the same thing for other, you know, other episodes that I listen to. So
And and sometimes I get a lot of, not a lot, but every now and I get flack from people who are like, I did the recording and you never put it out. And it's just like, yeah, there was no guarantees. I didn't guarantee that it would come out.
right.
There's a lot of things that I just do because I feel like it should be recorded, but it may come out 5 years from now. I just don't feel like
Correct.
at the moment it's just, you know, and there's also a lot of stuff that even though I publish quite a bit and not as much as I used to, but still quite a bit, there's a lot of episodes. Shouldn't even call them episodes, but there's a lot of recordings that I do offline I do these private interviews where I do this series it's a private series. It's called Legacy Calls. And I think I'm going to start trying to see if I can bring it to the forefront. The Savannah felt more like a legacy call, but not really, because I was really focused on the subject of being born with HIV. So we like really took that road, but we could have went anywhere with it. But when it's someone's origin story, like just recently, about a year ago, I had a friend, a really good childhood friend of mine. He was older than me, so he was like from my mother and father's era. They were all best friends in high school, but he was always there. You know, it was just literally, I don't know whether to call him uncle or whatever, but he not, like hood uncle, like that's my uncle,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um he wasn't doing too well. And so like my mom's hit me up and was like, "Hey, he's not really doing too well. You should do a legacy call." And I said, "Say less." And she said he's cool with it. And I said, "Okay, cool." So I called him. He was in the hospital, and we had this like hour and a half, like just like we had a conversation about where he started all the way until present day. And the whole point of this was like he's a man with several children and grandchildren that some of those grandchildren may be too young to hear what their grandfathers sound like. They only may know certain things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so now you have this recording, a conversation that's basically similar to the podcast, if not an exact replica of the style of conversation that it's not meant for public listening, but it is for your grandchildren, your actual children, your friends, your family, for anybody who may have got the link to the Zoom funeral, so to speak, who can now like hear his laugh, hear the way he talked, his pauses, his stories, his time in the army and what he did and this. And so it's like, it was an absolutely incredible experience to then, my mom went to the funeral because I couldn't make it. I was in Texas. And so I said, "Mom, when you go, just reach out to these people, these certain people in the fam that I'm cool with and who have had an impact in my life, and say, let them know that I have this recording for them." And I edited it the same way I would edit any episode. And then I waited till like after the funeral, gave it a couple of days, and then had a conversation with his brother and his son and said, "Here's what I have for you." And like presented it as like, this is for you, not like no other reason, but so you can have this. I don't know if keepsake is a good word, but to have this lightning in a bottle of a conversation, if you ever wanted to hear his voice, if you ever wanted to hear his laugh, if like it's there for you. Like pictures are cool, Facebook and maybe Instagram, I don't know, those things may be cool, but like those things don't capture a portrait of a person. And it's done in the sense of like oral history of like, not like in a hospice sense, but like we're having this conversation truly for your legacy, and it's in your voice, and I'm not making you say things you didn't say. And so giving that to his son, who I hadn't, I went to high school with his son, and we had caught up for like, a good hour. I was letting him know, because I was like, "Look, I didn't want to just like send you a link. I got your number. I just want to send you a link to the recording." And you're like, "What is this?" And it's just eerie as hell. You push play and it's your father who, you just buried. Like, that's just creepy. So just out of respect, I called him and we built, and I told him what it was about, and then I sent him the link, and I don't need to hear anything back. I don't need to hear what your thoughts were. It's just, that's for you and that's for the fam, So to be able to provide that service, it's an honor to be able to say here. And I don't think I would have been able to do that if I wasn't learning how to have conversations and interviews and various types of subject matter, and being able to meet people where they are with a genuine connection. Like, I'm not being fake. It's just like, we're going to talk about however it goes, but using the art of conversation to navigate it to a place that I know there's some things that your fan may want to know, or hear, when they're unable to just call you up. I felt like I rambled that, but.
No, you're spot on, bro. I think that you just explained what you do. And I think that there's a lot that goes on with people underappreciating what you do, which is capturing and preserving,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's your job, but it's an art form that you're perfecting. And I think that the extension of how you do those things is not like, it's not like you're it's not as robotic as us talking about it, right? There's a lot there's a lot of variables and nuance to, how something takes place in a natural sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you having a conversation that sounds natural, that is natural, is different than setting up something systematic. You know what I mean? So that's also, why, I feel like any chance I get, I always tell you like, yo, that was a dope ass episode, or
I
that
appreciate
was
it.
a great conversation, right? Because it transcends just, a systematic. I can't do what you do. You know what I mean? And it's because you're so connected with what you're doing that it seeps out in every conversation. Um, so yeah, bro. I mean, I think that the fact that you do legacy calls um, is, I mean, I think again culturally, it's it's a huge contribution that you're leaving behind on this earth, and it's going to outlive you. It's going to outlive your work is obviously going to outlive you. You know what I mean? And the work that you're doing is very intricate, and it's very important. I think that people like you are the reasons why we have the true stories that come out 30 years after the person
Right.
is no longer with us. You know what I mean? And to be able to to cut that time in half, or to make it easier for someone to have access to these thoughts, I think is amazing, bro. So I big you up for that for sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, I got a phone call or a text not like a couple of months ago. And I'm realizing just even the long tail of Sunday Cigar. Like I got one of my friends just hit me up. It was like, yo, I really want to know what's up with this cigar shit. And I was like, yo, let's meet up. And so we met up in the city, and I know it's just crazy because it's like, as I'm like talking to him about what I know about cigars, it's literally like, after every sentence I want to say like, yeah, I got that from Juan. I got that from, but I'm not saying that because I would say that it would be like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I got that from Juan. I learned that from Juan. Yeah, so we're going to toast the foot. We're going to toast the foot. Okay, watch how you cut that cap. Watch how you cut that cap. Like, so, but we were kicking it, and it was just kind of like, it was so cool because it was like, I realized like how much I had learned as I'm sharing all I know about cigars with Just C. Shout out to Just C. Because he's an avid listener to the show. And it's so funny because even last night I was like, I had came across the Will Smith and Tiger Hood playing golf with the milk containers. And I was like, yo, have you listened to the Tiger Hood episode? And he was like, not yet, but I'm on it. And I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're in for a treat because that's like,
right.
That episode is just so crazy. So, but as we're sitting, we were like smoking cigars or what have you. And the spot we were at was like Barclay Rex, and it was a great experience, but we chose some Arturo Fuente Hemingways. Like I said,
Okay.
Like we went to the humidor, I was like, yo, just pick something and I'll join you. You know what I'm saying? So like he picked that, and I was like, damn, that was the very first cigar where I realized like, yo, I want to smoke I like this cigar experience, back in like 07 or 08 or something like that, when I met Arturo Fuente Jr., I believe, in Ybor City. That's a cigar that he gifted me. So for just to pick up that cigar, I was like, damn, that's crazy. So yeah, I'll join you for that. But because we had got a day pass, they gave us a house cigar. And maybe I'm not shading Barclay Rex, but I just want to say, like, if you're gonna like give somebody a house cigar, like there should be some pride to the house cigar. Like, I just want to say, like, if you're gonna give me a day pass and it says it includes a cigar, like it should be a cigar that bangs. You know what I'm saying? So we can. So they gave us. I'm not gonna say what cigar it was, but like I could clearly taste the difference in the quality of what we were smoking because we're smoking these, really good Hemingways or what have you. And then we smoking these house cigars, but it was a clear difference. And they had like 2 or 3, and so maybe I'll try the other. So I'm not bad mouthing them, but I'm just like, I would even pay more for the day pass if it included something that I've heard of before that doesn't look like. I'm like, yo, okay, this is the house cigar. Like, why is it all the way close to the floor though? Like let me know, like, what's really going on here? But and I hear your silence, so I'm not gonna go too much into that.
No, listen, man. New York's been soft ever since Snoop came through and crushed the building. So, I
Yeah,
listen, man.
but the funny thing is like when we smoked the Hemingways, I said, yo, we got these house cigars because we were just chilling. It was like a Sunday, so I was like, yo, you want to just see what the second ones are about? The house cigars are about? He's like, yeah. And it was just like this totally different experience, and I'm glad that he smoked the Hemingway first to see what time it is with a Hemingway, and then see what it can be. It was like 2 sides of a spectrum. And but again, I never really. I guess I knew the difference between a good cigar and a bad cigar, but because of Sunday Cigar, I knew why. And I'm not gonna say it was a bad cigar. I'm just gonna say like it really just didn't hit and check any boxes or hit any real notes. It was just like, it's a cigar. If you light it, you can smoke it, but that's about it.
So I am your conscience.
Yeah, exactly. So, I have a care package from you that just kind of like looks at me, and I'm like, yo, I have a banging package of cigars that I cannot touch and I will not touch, and it's insane. I mean, it's the cigars for season 2, and just I've been holding that down, but I mean, gosh, man, like what's in that bag is like a magical situation.
Yeah. I think that the great thing about this entire experience, and I'm actually like, I'm really proud of the fact that we're taking our time with everything we're doing, even for anything that we have going on in the future, is because there's there's kind of like the levity to all the information we're providing, right? Like there's weight to the shit that we're actually saying. So for me, it's the most rewarding part is that you are now the teacher, right? Like now you're the person that you've gone through the journey, with me. We talk, we've done lives, we constantly we're constantly talking about all these different variables and aspects of smoking. And the truth is that at this point, I mean, we started this journey, you know, 6, 7 years ago at this point, right? Like,
Yep.
and I think that now you look at it, and we're in a place now where it's it's pretty easy to see that your opinion, it matters now. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like, oh no, I was just no, your opinion matters because the things that you've learned and how you carry that, you know, across in how you live is that, bro. Like, it's not like you took the information, you just like, oh yeah, fuck that shit. I'm
I was like,
still gonna
yo,
do
I got
this,
a
and I'm
bunch of
still gonna
free
smoke
cigars
that.
from Juan. You know what time it
Yeah.
is. You know how we do on this
Not
show.
even that.
Thanks, Juan.
The con is on, suckers.
Yeah.
Oh no, no. I just mean like in the sense of like the grasping of the information, like the being able to be confident about knowing that you didn't like the cigar, right? Before it was kind of like, I don't know. Now it's like, you know why you don't like it. And you
Right.
can tell the difference between something that's good and it's bad. And you know why. So like now I trust your judgment in the sense of like, not now, but I trust your judgment in the sense of when you tell me you had a bad cigar and you tell me the name of it, sometimes I'm like, I can see how it happened, or, I can see the variables there. But there's times I'm like, no, you're right. That's a shitty cigar. You already came to the table with knowledge. Like, you already knew a lot of things that normal people don't know, right? You already had conversations with Carlito Fuente Jr. So like, there's a lot of that goes with your experience and how kind of like that opportunity meets um you know chance meeting opportunity. And I think that's been a lot of why I've enjoyed talking to you about it, is because you already had carnal knowledge. Now what you know is is giving you the confidence to know that you're the guy. Like when you go to a spot and they're looking at you funny, the confidence that you have is knowing that you know your shit,
Bruh.
right? And it's not, so
If you would have
I think
saw me,
that in itself.
if you would have saw me at the Barclay Rex, yo, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was proud of myself, yo. Like I walked in there, I was like, yo, I got my day pass or what have you, but like I need to go in the humidor and I need to get X, Y, and Z. And then I went upstairs. I said, my colleague's not here, but he's on his way. And so like I went, I got a bite across the street, and then when he arrived, we went upstairs. They was like, Mr. Focus, we have your seat reserved over here. Da, 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 da. And I was like, yeah. But I was just like,
Yeah,
I knew as I'm talking to the salesman, and like I'm telling them, like one day I went into a humidor in Staten Island by the train, one of the trains, I don't know. It was called Al's or some shit like that, and they're cool. But I walked in there one day, super serious. I walked up to him. I walked up to the counter. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "All right, how you doing?" And like the quintessential mafioso, Staten Island accent. He's like, "Hey, all right, how you doing? How you doing?" And I was like, "I'm good." I said, "Listen, I need your help." He was like, "Okay." I said, "I've had 3 bad cigars in a row, and I feel like you're the guy that can take me to a good cigar." And he was like, "Oh yeah, let's go." Like he was like,
right.
where are you going with this shit?
Right.
And then we went into the humidor, and then he like took me to some like $100 a cigar Padron. I was like, yeah, calm down, bro. Like, let's not do that. Like, I said, I was like, I didn't just get the Nobel Prize, okay? Like, I was like, you're bugging. I looked at him like, okay, I didn't just graduate high school and I'm going to Ponderosa or Beefsteak Charlie's after this. Like, I'm not going Sizzler, okay? Give me the fucking $100 Padron. And the thing is like the box was half empty, so like somebody in the neighborhood or several people are blowing cigars on, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, no, I'm good on that, but like, give me something that you smoke he was like, oh, and then the price point was like exponentially different, but still pricey, but still worth it, Right. But because of that, just that exchange, I got to know about a cigar I'd never had before, that I never heard of before, but that was extraordinary. And I was like, damn, if I could remember the name of this cigar, I'll go back and get it. You know what I'm saying? But having that rapport with your, the guy, the kick, I don't know, what do you call that person? The salesman?
I mean,
I'm not going to call him a barista.
No, it's if the person's learned it, then the person is a tobacconist.
So the tobacconist. So he was definitely a tobacconist. Yeah. So the rapport you have with your tobacconist is the same rapport you have with your barber. And that's the rapport I had with you.
Right, correct.
Prior 100%. To like, taking this super deep dive. It was like when I saw you, and I've said this on previous episodes, when I saw you, I was like, okay, this not only does this person know what he's talking about, but he's mad cool about it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no kind of pretension or anything. And I would just tell you what I was looking for, and you was like, got you. And then you would essentially prescribe a smoke, and I would walk away, and 9 times out of 10 I'd be like, that was extraordinary. And if I didn't like it, you and I would have like a small brief convo, and then you would take me off to another rabbit hole and we would go off. And so right. it was a no-brainer to be able to pitch you Sunday Cigar if you were down. Like I have ideas all the time, and like the fact that you were down, I was like, oh shit, this is a go. And I remember like just one of the things I said, just maybe I get it from my mother because she's pretty frugal, where I'm like, yo, we could just cut the cigars in half and we could just taste them. And you was like, what did you, don't you ever repeat that? Like, it's hilarious now, but at the time I was dead serious. I was like, I know cigars ain't cheap. You know what I'm saying? And you just like, we're going to do it right. And then of course we did it beyond right. But yeah.
I think that, even in your story with Barkley Rex, right? Like, I think that for the most part, we're just searching for that openness, right? The openness and your personality being, you're able to, kind of shine your personality during a conversation, right? Um, you know, the comparison of or the analogy of using the barber, right, is spot on, right? And it's not because um, the barber's precise or he's a master of his craft or her craft, but I think that there's an aspect of like you're not going to come to me all the time, right? And if I work at a shop, the idea of our first interaction has to be the same. You got to get the same kind of energy from me each time we have an interaction. It has to be genuine, right? Like if you're a person that I don't like to deal with, like if you come into the shop and I don't want to deal with you, I don't have to deal with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea of working in a shop is that I can make it quick. Man, what do you want? You know what I'm saying?
Or
But
like pass you off to somebody else that's like, I think Tom is more
yeah,
your caliber of what you're looking for.
yeah, but for the most part, if there's a genuine interest in like the person that you're talking to that's open about learning, that energy is a two-way street, right? So like if you're asking the right questions, you're opening you have the secret combination that's opening the door, right? And then once that door is open and the proprietor is creating the best environment for you to learn or to to want to spend more time there, right? The idea of you spending time there is relative to what you get out of it, right? Like I can give you a great experience one time, and then you say, okay, I'm doing that once a year,
Right.
right? But the openness that you have as the attentive audience, the consumer, the person who's guiding the experience, is that your enthusiasm and your knowledge is what guides the conversation. It's not about what the specialist knows or the tobacconist knows or the proprietor knows. It's really about what you know as the audience member, right? Even if it's not related to cigars, right? Your enthusiasm and learning is what brings more of that energy to come to you. And the moment that you know enough, the confidence in asking the right questions or being in this conversation is about the respect that you give to the
Absolutely.
world that you're in. You know what I'm saying? So like to be able to navigate that, is just about liking who you're talking to, right? And that interaction, like if I have a person that I had a great interaction with in a day, and they come in another day, it's gonna be a fucking another great day for me, right? Like
Right.
if you left and I feel like damn, that was a fucking dope conversation. I feel like I don't feel like I wasted one word on this guy, right? Like you leave, it's not a transaction for me, right? Like that transcends what a human wants, right? Like at that point that was worth we could spend 3 hours and you spend let's say $15, $20. It's not about how relative or like you coming back and buying another cigar. For me it's like damn, that was a great interaction. I
Yeah.
want to have one of those interactions every day. I
Yeah.
want to have three of those interactions.
Yeah.
So, that's part of it is that, man, is like when you go to a brick and mortar and you go to an establishment that has someone that actually knows it. It doesn't matter the space that you're in. It doesn't matter the time of the day it is. If that person has the right mood and you're asking the right questions, they're gonna greet you with this energy, and the energy is usually one that is knowledge driven, is about sharing the knowledge and not one that's like hindering,
Mm.
right? Like you never go to some place that, oh, you don't want to go to that wall, that's where all the secret stuff is.
Right.
Like that's dumb, right? Like
Yeah.
so it's always about being open, and the fact that you're the knowledgeable vessel that you are, you're forming more weapons in your Voltron. You know what I'm saying? When you transform and you the more you smoke and the more that you learn about whether good or bad, you're able to say, now I'm more confident. Now I'm gonna walk in here like I own the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In a good way, right? And that familiarity is what makes the culture.
Because
You
you
know what I'm
know it,
saying? Like,
you live in it and you know it and you're respectful to it.
yeah,
And that's what I
yeah,
feel like
bro.
even with the first season, I truly believe the first season, and I said it recently, is that it's a masterclass in smoke. Like, it's your introduction. Like, if you really want to know, and quite a few people have let me know that they've binged the show and they now indulge. Even like my cousin Dan, like he now enjoys a smoke now. Like he really has what he loves. What he, I think he's a Macanudo guy, and he just, that's his move, But he was like, I drink less now, and I do this less, and now I feel more, and it's like I feel more relaxed, and I'm like, yo, those are all the reasons. When people ask me like, what do you get from that? Like I've had quite a few people kind of like scrunch their face up, and I'm like, and I break it down, and then they go away and come back, and they be like, I understand now. And it's like, I'm not coming to you like, you got 10 minutes to talk about, like I'm not coming at you like that. So it's like, you coming to me. Sometimes it's really positive, and sometimes it's like really like, what is it? I've had some people say some wild shit to me, and I won't repeat it on the air, but like, it's just interesting. And so now I can just say, hey, go to Sunday Cigar. Just go to SundayCigar.com, and you'll have a whole free masterclass from a master tobacconist that knows what the hell he's talking about, and it's not pretentious, and it would literally kicking it in the alley in the Heights. It don't get more hood than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're chilling. Like when I'm with the guy, so it's like I'm not, it's a great experience. So now with season 2 coming up, and however that comes out, and whenever it comes out, and like you said, we taking our time with it. And even today, like I was watching that Branson documentary, which is incredible, by the way, on HBO. Like I had no idea. Like I knew this guy was the guy, but I had no idea how much. Especially like that second episode, Jesus. But there's parts of where I'm seeing graphics where I'm like, that would be good, because we're gonna do the video aspect. I'm like, that's not a bad idea to kind of go that route. And, like I'm quick to do a screenshot or whatever if they allow it. And if not, I can at least take a picture with my phone and go, all right, I have a reference, and go find something to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm going to rebuild it in my own, not steal their shit, but rebuild it or whatever. So it's just crazy to know, like, not crazy, but it's just a good feeling to know, like, in my heart of hearts, I feel like season 2 is going to be like Street Fighter 2. Like Street Fighter 1 was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. But Street Fighter 2 was like, yo, they really got this thing to this day. Like I'll sit here and just start Street Fighter 2 and just beat it, and then I'm good. I do the same thing with Contra 1 for Nintendo. Just beat it, just take 30 minutes to just pause, beat it, and then just, go about my day. It was just kind of like this little therapy session of a dope nostalgic video game.
Yeah, a fact. Like it's a muscle memory thing. 100%. So 100%. I feel that way.
I know we made that whole list, and we can go through it, but like, I feel like we got the episode. What you think?
Listen, bro. I'm here for however, whatever, baby.
Okay.
What's up?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna jump around because I really want to say it in this episode, because if people make it this far, then they rocking with us. My favorite movie of the year was the 1995 French film, black and white, La Haine. Okay. I saw it for the first time, and I was like, why didn't I watch this in 95? Like, it's an incredible film. Incredible. It's a Criterion. It's part of that. It made it to that. Like, but from beginning to end, like the magic of this film, and the politics and the police brutality and the poetry and the music and the cinematography, and I could go on, blew me away. Like, and I've only watched it once, and I'm gonna watch it again, but like, I just needed to say that. Like, everything else I did, all the things on my list, that's great, but I wanted to just say that. What was the thing that moved you out of all the things on the list that you were like, damn, that shit was dope?
To be honest, books, bro. For me, it was, I've done a lot of listening. I've done a lot of, audio books. I've done a lot of reading this year.
Same.
I'm actually reading the the book you sent me a while ago, Voices of Washingtonites, and which is really fucking good.
But there's an audio version to that book.
No, I've been reading it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Reading the actual book. But in the book Hemisphere, I think reading the Steve Jobs book.
The one that came out in like 09, like that one that came out like a decade ago.
I believe so. Yeah,
that book is incredible. That book changed the way that book changed my work ethic. That book.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you go for it. I'll speak after.
No,
you
I
speak.
mean, there's so much that you can learn from a human aspect from that book, and I identified a lot of things that I'm around that are very similar to the world that he created currently, and I was able to kind of strategize as to how to approach certain things based off of that. I do feel that, a lot of people, listen or read the same things. And I think that they take the same ideas sometimes and don't even know it. And it was a book that allowed me to understand a lot of human aspects to, how someone is perceived,
Yep.
what their drive is, and, their end story. For me, it was a story about, a human who went through life and at the end lacked a lot of human, human uh, characteristics, but still made such an impact in everyday living that, he's looked at as, a human genius. And I always say that, it's always funny that the people that sometimes don't cover the bases, make these huge contributions to society and to humanity. And I think that Steve Jobs is one of those people. I think that he was a genius. I think that, when it comes to creating and pushing the standard, he was definitely bending the spoon with his mind.
Yep.
But I am a huge believer in how you treat people. So a lot of my Achilles heel in digesting a lot of these things is, the lack of compassion that he had, and the lack of love that he had.
Yep.
And I feel that, as much as he did, it's like kind of like it, if you could sacrifice one life to save a million, would you do it? Or being, quote unquote, as existential about things. For me, it's more so about like the mark that humans leave behind outside of their work, and what the big picture looks like. So, there's a duality to it. I admire everything that he contributed to and he made, come to life. But at the same time, it was like, man, you're the way that you dealt with people is so against how I feel about dealing with people, or, having relationships. I can't admire you all the way. You know what I mean?
It's also that, and I won't say certain members of my family, but it's almost like I learned what not to do.
Yes.
Like sometimes in a book, like it's not always like what you can learn to do. It's like, oh, okay, I can accomplish some of the same, goals, but do it without having that aspect. Okay, I'm not going to do it that way.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Yes. That's that. And I think that that's a big part of life's negotiation, right? Like, there's a lot of things that we can do to, create this trajectory in our existence. But the price that you're going to pay is going to be an enormous price. So are you willing to make that move based off of what the reward is? For me, the answer is negligible based off of what the result is. And I can't make decisions based off of a huge risk, especially if it means family or friends or, things that I care about, no matter what the contribution is going to be.
especially when your whole DNA is the actual opposite of who he is in that book. And the
Well,
genius that
yeah,
he
I think
is.
that
Yeah,
Steve Jobs was such a unique character in human history that it's hard to recreate that. There's never going to be another one, right? But
right.
I think that to be able to sit back and watch someone's life, right, is such a beneficial thing, right? Like I'm talking about Steve Jobs like our fucking, I'm some smart, asshole, whatever.
Oh,
But
like
the
yo,
truth of the matter is, like,
yeah,
his life was more than just what I read, right? And for I don't discount that, but there is a result in how you leave the earth, right? And there's a macro effect and there's a micro effect.
there
And
you
for
go.
me, it's like I'm all about the micro. I'm all about the legend I leave behind with my friends and family. How people are talking about me when I'm gone. That to me means more than having my name in a statue or
Right.
to be recognized by Smithsonian Museum or whatever the fuck. I think the aspect of what you want and the sacrifices that you make to get those things has to do with what you want in life. And my life revolves around keeping my circle tight and happy. So
The
that's
thing
I'm a small thinker. You know what I mean?
I like you. I did a lot of audio books and book. I did a I really like went crazy this year with the audio books and the actual books and revisiting books. But I'm not even gonna go there. I want to stick on the Steve Jobs thing for a second because like
Yes, please.
that book, and I think I'm going to revisit at the top of the year because the impact of that book, as you know, they say 2020 is hindsight, and
Yes.
I'm looking back. That book inspired me to walk more because
Yes.
him walking is one
Hmm.
of the biggest characters in the book.
Yes.
And so when I started walking more, I would leave the house. This is like, '09, 2010. And through that, that's where the very first um, book that I made that eventually turned into New York Said. So, like, if I wasn't walking like that, there would be no New York Said. And I've
Well,
always been a walker. Because, like, even when I was in, undergrad, I lived upstate New York and didn't have a car. So, like, I had to walk. I'm sounding like my grandfather now. Like, I had to walk in the snow and the rain upheld
yeah.
to get to school. That's just what it was, in Sullivan County. You know what I mean? But it was different because that's something I had to do. It was the same exact road, the same path. I didn't.
Right.
But when I was exploring the city and I was like aspiring to be this photographer or learning my camera, I was taking pictures of everything. But like the thing that I got out of that was just like really take look and have integrity for what it is that you're doing. And then that at that point it turned into this like, okay, I've taken pictures of a little bit of everything. So I'm talking to everybody, so therefore I'm talking to nobody. So how do I distill this thing down into a singular thing, a series? And that's where the word photography came through. But it started with the walking and it started with that book. Because if somebody said, "Oh, what'd you like about the Steve Jobs? Like, what did you get from it?" I'm like, walking, crying, and apologizing. That's essentially what the book was. Like him pissing people off and saying, "Let's take a walk." And then like, "Let's walk and talk." So even in previous relationships where I would like bump heads with somebody, I'd be like, hop on my Steve Jobs shit and be like, "Let's take a walk." And I would resolve whatever the conflict was through walking. But a lot of times, I would say 90% of the times, I was walking the city by myself, capturing street art, capturing graffiti, capturing this, doing that. And because I was doing that, people would be like, "Hey, I'm a model. You want?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And then we would do a session of that. And so like, I had all these various experiences, and then eventually New York Said came to be. But if I had to like pinpoint like a like where the start was, it started with the impact of that book, and then a whole bunch of other things, but that book was definitely a factor in the existence of New York Said, which is crazy for you to even bring that specific book up in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to Fat Joe's book. I listened to the book of Jose. That was pretty good. Book of Joe.
That's on my queue. I
It's really good.
I was caught up in Jennifer Lewis's book, and I couldn't
Ooh,
finish it because it's so dope. Like, but her voice,
right
like,
on.
yo, if you get a chance, that
I'm gonna
Jennifer
listen to
Lewis
it.
book,
She is such an inspiration.
bruh, that book
I
is
love her.
insane. That very first
I
book
love her.
I was just like, I'm only halfway through it because I get it through the Libby app. So I don't know if you're rocking with Libby. So sometimes I don't want to like cash in on my Audible credits. I just do a free book from the library through Libby, an audio
I
book.
heard you. Yep, yep,
And
yep.
so
My
I
boy
don't
told me
mind
about
that. I'm like, okay, I'll like return the book and then say if it's available in 2 weeks, let me know, and then I'll listen some more, and then because it's a long book, but her energy is so incredible and so exhausting, and the way she tells stories and how candid and how free, like she tells you the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the highs, the lows, and she does it in this way that like I've listened to literally hundreds of audiobooks, but I've never heard someone like really go into it like that. Like if you're
Yeah,
like
yeah. Like an
if she's
artist.
on stage is the way
Yeah,
she's
she's on
saying this
stage.
stuff. And I would be listening, walking, I'm still walking through the city, but I'd be walking with, got my headphones on and I just start laughing very hard. Like I got to lean on a pole when I'm just like, yo, I just look nuts. When you see me with my stone New York face, dressing all black, walking, and all of a sudden just bust out into laughter like the edible just kicked in or some shit. Like,
Everyone starts scattering. Oh
yeah,
boy,
like
it's
okay, get away
careful.
from that guy. He lost
Get
his
away from
shit.
nigga.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, that book, the the um, the marathon continues.
Ooh,
That book was
that's awesome.
insane, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like I love one of my favorite things to do is to play video games and listen to audiobooks. So like I
I
play
agree.
these like Metroidvania games that are very deep and like there are 2D like side scrolling, but like you're exploring these huge worlds. But when I just mute it and I just listen to an audiobook and it's like the best thing, especially at nighttime before I go to sleep where I can just clear my head. I don't really do it in the daytime because it's just kind of counterproductive to being productive. But at night is like the best thing to just kind of like veg out and do that. Um, but this game that I've been playing is called Hollow Knight. You could get it for like $5, probably because it's so old. But this game is so incredibly huge and so phenomenal. Like I'm like, how have I spent so many hours playing this game and I haven't even like beat it? Like I haven't, like I've beaten. I'm so far. I'm like so close to finishing it, but like I'm like I still have like that. Like you ran 100 miles, you still got one more to go. Like I'm on that
Yeah,
that mile, that
yeah, I
last
understand.
mile. So yeah.
I think
Um,
I can.
you said what?
The I think I can, Mile.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And it's like you because it's like the game starts off where you're just like a nothing. Like everything can beat you up, but then over time you get this power, that power, and you become strong and whatever. But like it's a dope game. Um, and so the last question I'm gonna ask you, of course, is like, what was uh the banger? Which cigar where you were like, damn, this is what's up?
This year, honestly, and I've been smart about which cigars I smoke on my days off now. Like where before it was kind of like I would have them queued up, based off of what I've aged the most. And I've been a lot more open to just giving new cigars their due again because I just you kind of get lost in the sauce. So for me, I was used to just grabbing the cigar when it came out, smoking it, having the experience, and then having the second cigar that I or third cigar that I aged for a while, and then coming back to the experience. Um, because I'm not in a place where I'm able to access things as frequently. I'm giving a lot more of the newer cigars and the more limited productions and all these things a lot more of a closer view and just like I'm sinking my teeth into it like if I'm a student. You know what I mean? So this year, um, I would say the foundation, David is has been my favorite so far. Um, Nick Melillo made a perfecto. in this cigar. There's two. There's a David and the Goliath,
Mm.
right? So, he was clever enough to create both. Both are
Is
pretty limited.
is this a dumb question to ask? Is the
No,
Goliath like full body? And
it's
the David's kind of
definitely
like mild to medium.
not. I mean, I'm gonna say both are gonna be medium.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the Goliath is more. It's not stronger per se. I just feel like it had a lot more going on in its development. Again, it's a perfecta, so think of size of shape of a football.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of going from closed end to it opening, then the big ring gauge aspect, and then it closing out again, that plays a role. And the fact that the taste is kind of being funneled onto your palate because it's like a torpedo. Um, so yeah, man, it was really consistent. I've smoked three so far, and it's the third time I had it. I said, "This is the one. This is my favorite of the year so
Incredible.
far." And that's the part where it's like, when you love something, it's a no brainer, and the kid in you comes out and goes, "Yo, that's the fucking one. Fuck all that other shit." So that was me with the David this year. It's not like the most complex cigar I've ever had. It's not like, the crazy, it doesn't have like the most, but it has the most unique flavor that I wanted, I craved,
Okay.
and the burn is amazing. So, highly recommend. It's limited production, but it's out there. You can definitely find it. Might have to do some sleuthing. But yeah, the Foundation cigars, Dave, really good smoke.
Phenomenal.
I'll send you one. I'll send you one in the care package.
Ow! I love. I was like, that sounds yo. Thank you. I don't want to say
Yeah, no
nothing
doubt,
else.
bro. No
Thank
doubt.
you.
No-
My favorite cigar this year was a cigar my sister gave me out of the blue, and I didn't expect it. Like she was like, I was at a cigar shop and I figured I'd get you one, and I was like, okay. And again, like
Lila?
Delilah, yeah.
Yo, shout out to Delilah.
Shout out to Delilah. Like I just out of the blue. Like sometimes you know how that brother sister thing. Like we kind of like jokingly jab each other all day. So it's like, do you even like me? Oh shit, evidently you do because this cigar is fucking. Now we got big love for each other. Thankfully, I have extraordinary sisters, and I'm grateful for their existence. But she hit me with the out of the blue, the Rocky Patel Disciple. And off the top, I'm just like, look at this thing. Like, it's gorgeous. I love the color. I love when I opened the package, this that first scent that came off of it, the fragrance, the aroma.
Yes, sir.
And the gold label, like everything about it was
that
just
rose gold, right? Like
yes.
that,
I was, and it was like label, a lot of label. Like it was like the bottom, the top, the foot label. It was just.
Oh yeah, it does. Doesn't it have like a double foot label? Yes. It has like a gold and a black one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of art on this cigar before you even smoke it. So just like from an aesthetic standpoint, where I'm just like, because I'm the guy who's like walking down the street and I see some kind of an ad. I'll take a picture of it because I'm like, I like the way they designed that. I like that font. I'm that guy. So to get this really gorgeous cigar and then just everything about Rocky Patel exponentially, with it's known for me. I've learned that Rocky Patel and their spices, all those things that it was just rolled up in one, and I was like, damn, this is an excellent cigar.
Which size did you have?
Do you remember? Don't start me the line. I was like top of the year. It was pretty it wasn't small. I'd say that. It was like the size of
like probably a Toro size, right?
Probably a Toro, easily. Yeah. Because it was a smoke that like when I looked at it, it was like I'm definitely going to eat heavy before I smoke this thing. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be falling out the chair.
Smoke for sure.
Yeah, and it was one of those where like nobody was around, and I was just like, it was just me and this smoke. Like we were having a conversation.
My man. And now with that said, you said that it was giving you a lot of a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to guess where the cigar was from, where would you guess the cigar was from?
Nicaragua.
My man. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
That is 100% correct, sir.
And it's
Yeah.
I remember like I was kind of like fanning out on a cigar a few months ago, and I let you know, and it kind of threw me because it was the Java Red and
Okay.
Drew Estate, and I'm like just going ham about this cigar, and you're like, and again like the scent off of it, the aroma, I loved it, and then when I lit it, like everything about it was just gorgeous, but I didn't understand the like infusion aspects, and then we had that conversation, and then you gave me that other inside scoop that it was a collaboration with like a low key collaboration with Rocky Patel with Drew Estate and
Oh
Rocky.
yeah, it's a Rocky Patel cigar that Drew Estate makes for
Yeah,
them.
so
Yeah.
Rocky, I'll be honest with you, I've never had a bad Rocky Patel, outright.
Good.
Yeah, I tried after that cigar. I had tried some crazy weird ass cigar that was like I couldn't even get 3 minutes into it that I had bought from not no one recommended it, but I saw it and at Barclay Rex and I copped it and when I got to the house I just destroyed it. I was like I'm not even going here with this and I smoked. So I started and it's been years since I've been like I am not smoking this cigar. This is horrible. But it was like another infused kind of situation, but it was like it tasted like flavored chemicals. It just didn't. I was just like, what's going on here? So
Yeah,
I shut that down.
yeah. A lot of the taste that you get from the Disciple is just it's a good combination. Like the blend is a great combination because they take they take that Mexican San Andres
Hmm.
Maduro wrapper and you know when you mix like the a Mexican San Andres with Nicaraguan binder and filler to me is like a beautiful marriage. There are a few cigars out there that I won't name that have that same combination, and they're some of the best cigars on the planet. And you know, it's always a question of like, where's that wrapper from? I know where the wrapper's from. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like it's not public knowledge, so I don't. That's why I'm not saying anything.
Right.
But I say that to say that combination is fucking some of the best in the world. That and especially in the Maduro, like the way that sweetness and that pepper combined, that is just like this really nice streamline of um, flavor that it's apparent and it's there and you can't escape it and it's not overwhelming and it doesn't feel too sharp on the palate.
And I've had a few cigars that have opened up ugly, like opened up in a way where I'm like, I don't need what the hell is this? And it was like
Stay
almost
away from this
yeah.
area.
And then like I would say like in minute 7, it's like, yo, this is absolutely incredible. And then the close is just like beautiful. So I'm learning about as I continue, I'm learning about how a cigar opens and how it's basically like the arc of a story. And so like the opening, the peak and then the close is just like, okay. And like you said, some cigars, the grand opening, grand closing is the same cigar all the way through. And then certain smokes will take you on a journey. And that one was pretty consistent, but just the nuances of the open and the close. And I'm not saying that the Disciple opened up and closed and the middle of it was just phenomenal. But there's been other smokes where I'm learning that like, maybe I didn't like the beginning, but I do. You know how like
Yep.
a movie, like it started off kind of slow, but then when
Yep.
it took off, it was incredible. And then there's certain cigars where like the close is just like they rushed it and it just turned
Yes.
into something different, and you're like, damn kid, like you had me in the beginning and the middle. But in the past, I would just smoke the whole cigar and be like, I had a cigar. So now I'm at this point where like
Uh-huh.
I'm recognizing truly the story of the cigar by where
Yes.
it takes you.
Well said, bro.
And so
Well said.
I think saying that I'm definitely curious to see like now the experience of what Sunday Cigar season 2 is going to be now that I have this breadth of knowledge, this foundation of season 1, and then my outside studies and my personal studies now stepping in to this this elite curation that you've shared with me, giving me the preview of like, this is what we're this. I'm like, shit. So, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Hey man, I think that, it went from, you asking questions and, me giving you some answers to now you having experiences that you come to the table with. So, the fun part is always going to be the camaraderie, bro. Like,
Yep.
the fact that, we enjoy doing this is in itself is the reward. And I've always said that, like, if it wasn't fun, we wouldn't do it. But
Absolutely.
I think that, at the end, it's a lot more fun because, your experiences have caught up to the conversation. You know what I mean? And now I don't, there's things that we're going to cover that are new, obviously, and that's why I think that there's still more fun to be had, right? And there's still more things to learn. But I think that now is the time for you to learn those things that you haven't learned,
Yeah.
right? And for you to carry on, what it means to go from, aficionado to like an actual like, well versed, they're calling it now certified, you know, it's like a certified consumer tobacconist, right?
Mm.
And for me, it's that is it's there's going to be a part where you're going to teach me stuff. You know what I mean? And not that I don't learn from you already, but there's going to be times that you come to me and say, "Hey, have you heard about this?" And I'm like, "No, talk to me."
Wow.
Right? And that's going to be the genesis of everything that we're doing, because it's not like I know all the information,
Right.
but I know a lot of information. So there are going to be things that you come to the table with that I'm not going to know. And all that means is that we're venturing into these different worlds of you know details that have to do with this adult indulging activity. So for the most part, bro, I'm just happy that we're still on this journey,
Yeah.
and that you're still you still want to learn, and that I'm still here to be able to have these great conversations with you. You know what I mean? So nothing that's that's already said, needs to be repeated.
Right.
But the things that we will repeat are the things that are poignant in anyone's learning. So, it's like watching. For me, it's like I want to make it so that we're obviously making something that's evergreen. But when we look back, we want to be able to say that there's progression in everything we're doing. So
Oh,
from a
absolutely.
rhythm standpoint, we've built that, and now from a knowledge standpoint, this is going to be the fun part.
Yeah. I can actually see that, especially now having truly, applied the language and learning the vocabulary and embodying it as best I can. My memory is kind of wonky at times, but like to know that, like to know more than I knew then, I feel like I've taken the prereqs to like get to that
Yes,
master
sir.
thesis. So
Yes.
Um,
Well said. Well
so
said, sir.
we're gonna wrap it up. This has
My
been
guy.
again I don't know what year. This could be year 12 for all I know. But to do it again, back to back to back, this has been an excellent, and I'm honored that you show up, and I appreciate your time.
Hey man,
So
I'm
thank you.
always honored. I'm always grateful for for the invitation, and I am always. I hope that I contribute as much as you want me to
You
in these
absolutely do.
moments.
There's definitely a
So
rhythm to this conversation.
I want to be back.
Yeah.
I want to be back. Don't get rid of me, okay?
I'm like, hey, so Juan, I think we're gonna go a different route this year. So bring on. I didn't even want to say a name because I don't even want to like play with that. I know there's power in words. I'm like, I don't even want to play with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah.
Word.
Yeah, fuck that. we got a good thing going, so like let's leave it at that. Like,
you got Barack Obama.
I'm like, yo, man, it's Barack, B. Come on, man. Yo, Juan, you can't be too salty. It's Barack.
I can't be salty at all.
Nah, Loki, I'd be like,
damn, man.
I'd be like, nah, he
Beezy?
could show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we're gonna have a guest today with us for
You don't want to talk about his shit.
Yeah, like okay. Barack wrote another book, and he don't even smoke, but Sunday cigar, y'all. Oh Lord. So yeah, man, it's a wrap. I'm wishing you the most productive and healthiest and hilarious and beautiful 2023, and that's for you, the listeners. We appreciate your support and rocking with us and whatever it is that we put out. Right on. Good, bad, or ugly. You know, it's sometimes it's an acquired taste, sometimes you're rocking with it, and I get it. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all our listeners, to everyone that's rocking with us.
Word.
And yeah, we out.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Amon. Thank you for all your contributions. It's been a great year. I'm glad I could spend this time with you, ending it off again. And yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to be here for another year.
Hell yeah.
I'm happy that you're still doing this.
Yeah. No, even though it's the frequency at which I put these things out, it's still, I have no desire. I'm not at the point where like,
no, I mean, well, listen, I mean, you're batting 1,000 with the year ends. So what I mean is, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you're doing the year end.
Oh, nah, man, you good.
We here, baby.
I'm like, yo, so Juan, we're gonna go with ice this year. It's fine, right? Like, so Ice, who are you, bro? Like, but wrap this year up with me.
You go ahead. I got the author fist listening to this shit. Come on, man.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Nah, but
my brother.
We goes, my brother. Another awkward ending, and peace.